Because he didn't say anything like that. Oh, don't worry about it.
Hey guys, John from fly8mikealpha.com, and today we're going to be talking about special emphasis areas again, land and hold short operations. Everything you need to know about how to prepare to receive a land and hold short operation before your flight, how to accept or decline one in the air, as well as what conditions you should accept or decline them under. So we'll get right to it. First, let's identify what land and hold short operations are. The definition per the FAA is landing and stopping short of a predefined point, typically either a runway or a taxiway that's intersecting the runway you're landing on. It's a tool that's used by ATC to increase airport capacity, maintain efficiency, enhance safety, and the success of this tool relies upon participation of the pilots and air traffic control to balance the needs for system efficiency as well as safety. As PIC, you're ultimately responsible for safe operation of the aircraft, and you are expected to decline a land and hold short clearance if it would compromise safety at any level. So let's go ahead and see what it would look like if red Cessna was cleared to land runway 14, land and hold short runway 04, and black Cessna was cleared to take off of runway 04 all at the same time. So we can see for this to play out safely, it's imperative that red Cessna be able to land and actually stop short of that runway, and that black Cessna take off and be alert in case red Cessna does not land and stop short of that runway. So let's go ahead and look at what we need to do as pilots if we were red Cessna accepting that land and hold short clearance, what we would need to do to make sure that we had a safe outcome. So being able to accept a land and hold short clearance safely starts during your pre-flight preparation. And a few things we want to do during the pre-flight prep. If we're going to an airport where they use land and hold short operations, we're going to want to go ahead and locate the available landing distance, the ALD, for the runway that we expect to be using at that airport, or really for all the runways at that airport, so we know if we can in fact accept a land and hold short clearance if it's offered to us. You also want to know the runway slope information, because it's not just the distance of the runway, but it's also if it's a downsloping runway that may change your landing rollout. Calculate the required landing distance RLD for your aircraft. So based upon your expected landing weight and the expected winds at the destination along with that runway slope, how much runway do you expect to need, your required landing distance. Determine which land and hold short combinations at the airport are acceptable. So, maybe one runway you can accept, but the other runway has slightly downsloping and you're going to need more runway to get stopped so that you can't accept land and hold short operations on that runway. And then ensure MEL requirements are satisfied. Now this isn't such a big GA requirement, but as you start flying bigger stuff as a commercial pilot or ATP, ensure that the MEL requirements are satisfied, thrust reversers are working, all those sorts of things that allow you to accept a land and hold short clearance. So once you're in flight, what you're going to be focusing on changes a little bit. As you approach the airport, before you accept a land and hold short clearance, you're going to want to make sure that land and hold short operation capabilities can still be met, so that you're not overweight, that the winds are not different than what you expected, and that you can still land in the expected distances that you calculated on your pre-flight. You want to ensure that weather and visibility are satisfactory for land and hold short operations, so you're going to need at least a 1,000-foot ceiling and 3 statute miles visibility. If you have less than that, you cannot accept a land and hold short clearance. You need to verify that the designated runway is dry and free of contamination. So you could ask ATC if there's any braking reports from previous aircraft that have landed there. If there's low braking action, say it's been raining or there might be some ice on the runway, you don't want to accept that land and hold short clearance because you may use more runway than expected. You want to determine if wind shear limits have been violated for your aircraft, and you also want to ensure that proper land and hold short operation communication and protocols have been followed in the cockpit so that you are communicating to ATC properly, using proper phraseology, you know exactly what you're supposed to land and hold short of, and that you've also briefed your other crew members on what to expect. So your co-pilot or your captain, that you've discussed it back and forth and you've used proper CRM to establish where you're going to be touching down and where you're expected to hold short of. Make sure you accomplish a stabilized approach, because a good approach makes for a good landing, bad approach equals bad landing. You don't want to dive for the runway trying to hit on early touchdown point, build a bunch of speed, and then have excessive float that would carry you past your holding short point once you're on the ground. You want to touch down within accepted limits, and if you're going to touch down after those accepted limits, you're going to need to execute a go around or let ATC know that you cannot adhere to that land and hold short clearance that you had previously accepted. You want to maintain a heightened situational awareness in the cockpit, and especially including intra-cockpit communication and traffic awareness. So know what they're having you land and hold short of, what sort of traffic is coming down that taxiway or runway, and be talking back and forth with the other crew member in the cockpit so that you can work together as a team to ensure safety. Also identify the runway markings, signage, and lighting associated with the land and hold short operation. So identify prior to landing what markings you're going to use to identify where you're supposed to be holding short of. The runway should have a marking such as this, and sometimes they'll even have lighting across the runway to let you know at night where you're supposed to be landing and holding short of. What you ultimately want to remember here is that you as PIC are ultimately responsible for accepting or declining a land and hold short clearance. Nothing requires you to accept one. If you cannot, just say unable and that you request the full length. They'll give you another runway or perhaps ask you to hold or make a 360 for spacing or something along those lines. But it is totally up to you to accept or decline it, and it's up to you to ensure that if you do accept it, that you can comply with it and that it will not affect the safety of your flight. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on our video, and you can subscribe to us to follow all our latest episodes over here on the right. Also, go ahead and check out some of these videos down below. And remember, if you can't fly every day, then fly 8MikeAlpha.com. We'll see you all next time.